Hello, everyone. It is such a joy and a pleasure to be here. I'm glad you invited me today. So, I'd like to start off by asking you a question. What is the number one reason most people fail to advance in their careers or in business, working harder and harder, longer and longer, and never ever achieving their dreams? I want you to think about that, because we're going to answer that at the end of this presentation. I want to tell you just a little bit about why I do what I do. One of the reasons I do what I do is because I was fortunate enough to have great mentors, people that were instrumental in getting me to where I wanted to be, to helping me to achieve my goals. And because of that, I want to do the same thing for you. But I tell you what, it wasn't always that way. For one thing, my first good job was with South Central Bell in New Orleans. And I tell you what, it was just a joy to have that position, because I was straight out of school, and to get a position like that, you just can't imagine. And I was happy. I mean, it was a good job, as I said. I was making good money, good hours, and the commute. Couldn't believe the commute. No traffic like here in, a lot of areas, Los Angeles, D.C., where you have all that traffic. New Orleans, it was only a 20-minute commute. Can you imagine that? I don't know too many people that have a 20-minute commute. I was there for 8 years, loving every minute of it. I mean, I was able to buy a home. I was able to buy a new car. Of course, got those credit cards and started charging on those. But that's because I thought that I would be there a while. Like I said, I was happy in the position. I loved what I was doing. And so I just knew I would be there. That would be my retirement position. And guess what? Then the bottom fell out. I was laid off December 27th, 1987. Look at that date, December 27th. Who in the world lays anyone off right after Christmas and right before New Year's? I couldn't believe it. I really could not believe it. I tell you what, I was devastated. For a while, I just couldn't gather my thoughts. I couldn't understand why. I kept asking the question why. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that it can't happen to me. It only happens to someone else. What I'm saying is I just wanted to know the reason. There had to be a reason. And, South Central Bell, if you recall back then, they were a large telephone company, and basically they had a monopoly on the telephone company. So they had to diversify, which is why they started laying people off. And that's how we came about with the Verizons and the AT&Ts and all that, because they had to, because of their diversifying, they had to open it up for other telephone companies. And so again, I still had to ask that question why, because even though that was what was taking place, there had to be a reason. 8 years at a company, and then they decide they want to lay you off. So what I did, as I said, I was wondering why. I wanted to know the reason. I mean, because I knew that there were other people that had been there less time than me, but they didn't get laid off. And I also knew that there were people that started at the same time as I did, and they were also still there. So what was it? I knew it wasn't my performance, because I had never had a problem with performance on any of the any jobs that I've ever held. So I knew it wasn't that. So I kept asking that question, why? And I started digging a little deeper. And in doing that, I decided I was going to contact a friend of my mom's. And she was someone who had also worked for South Central Bell years before I did. And she had left, but she was an executive when she left. And she was now with one of the well-known hotels in New Orleans. And she was a high-level executive with that hotel. So I called her and I asked her, I said, you know, can we go out to lunch? I'd like to discuss something with you. And she did. We met, and you know, I told her what happened, and believe it or not, she had two questions for me. And these two questions really took me back, because her first question was, did you have a mentor? I said, no. She said, did you have a sponsor? I looked at her, I said, no. And she said, then that's your answer. She said, the reason why you probably got laid off is because you did not have anyone in your corner. You did not have anyone to help you to navigate the obstacles within that organization. She said having a mentor or having a sponsor, especially one or the other or both, she said that is why people, you know, sometimes miss, you know, the acts like you did. She said the people that you said are still there. These are people that probably had someone that gave them a heads up when that layoff was coming. She said a mentor would have been someone who could have come to you and say, hey, you might want to apply for another position over in this area, because they knew that people in that area or in that division or in that department was not going to be laid off. But I didn't have that. I didn't know that I should have a mentor or a sponsor. This, you know, this was all new to me. This was foreign to me. But I tell you what, it was information that I really took to heart. And I learned a lesson that day. It was a hard lesson to learn, but I tell you what, it was a good lesson, because in my next position, when I got there and I got settled in, the first thing I did was look for a mentor. And I did. I was lucky enough to find someone to be a mentor to me, someone that helped me to, as she told me, to navigate that organization and to be able to, you know, kind of know what was going on, someone that helped me to let me know what my strengths were and my weaknesses, my flaws were. But in saying that, I also was able to go from being a newbie in that organization into the executive staff. And I realized how important having that mentor was that got me up that ladder. And this is why I'm bringing this information to you, because none of this happened overnight. And I'm not telling you that it's a walk in the park. It's not easy. But if you know these things, then you're better armed, you're better equipped. And by her telling me this, the next time that I applied for a position and I was brought into an organization, I knew what I needed to do as far as getting someone to help me, to help me in my career, to advance, someone to show me how to maneuver. And that's the things that you have to be aware of. And again, this is not something that's going to happen overnight. You have to, these are things that you have to work on. And I have to tell you too, in doing all of this, I also realized that I needed to invest in myself. I needed to learn more about the field that I was in, the area that I wanted to pursue. And so I also started getting not only mentors within an organization that I was in, but I also started investing in other types of mentors, people that were doing things that I wanted to do. So I've worked and trained with some of the top-notch individuals, such as Marsha Bench, Vicki Irvin, Shay Brown. These are people that have taught me a lot about how to move forward, how to advance, how to, you know, keep yourself, get yourself around those obstacles that you're facing. And that's what you have to learn. And my philosophy in life is that we are all unique. We all have a purpose in life, and we all have a gift that we need to share. And as women, we need to be proud of our backgrounds. We need to be proud of our attributes, and we also need to showcase those attributes in our backgrounds and our experiences, because we have to help other women to get up that career ladder or get up into business or executives into the executive suites, because remember, there are not a lot of women there. Studies have shown there are more men in the executive suites than there are women, and those figures, although they're inching up a little, they're not climbing that much. When I started my company, believe it or not, I mean, there were no roadmaps back in the 80s and 90s to help women to excel. And that is one of the reasons why I started my company, because I wanted to be able to help women, to show them, to get them from point A to point B. Because, like I said, I didn't have a roadmap. I didn't have anyone, a lot of people back then that could show me what to do. And until I got the advice from my mother's friend, I didn't know that I needed to have people behind me to show me how to grow and how to move forward. So I struggled, and because and you know, you wonder why when you're in an organization you're getting good reviews, you're getting awards, and you know, you take class after class, you work long hours, you're a team player, and you're still not getting promoted. I went through that, so I understand people when they come to me and they tell me, hey, I just don't understand why I can't get promoted. Well, there are a lot of things that you have to realize and put in place to get you from point A to point B. And what I did, I studied with a lot of women that were in executive positions to find out how they got there, how they stay there, the obstacles they face, how they get around those obstacles. And I learned a lot just from doing that. And I learned a lot of information that, you know, that can save you time, that can make you money, and also to help you to overcome your frustration in not being able to move forward or advance in your career. Because of studying with these ladies, these high executive, high-powered, influential and movers and shakers, I tell you, like I said, they taught me a lot. I was a student of executive success. I, you know, studied again how they got there, and I, being blessed with having the mentors and the coaches also to help me to move forward, the result of all that information that I gathered is what I now want to share with you, which is the 8 habits of highly successful women. And those habits of highly successful women, the first habit that I like to tell you about is you have to discover your purpose, your gifts, and your talents. This is important because if a part of being successful is understanding who you are and what makes you tick. If you don't know who you are, what makes you tick, then how are you going to know what your purpose is? How are you going to know what your gift is that you need to share with the world? You have to find that something that you're passionate about. That's something that you know that you really want to do. When you get up in the morning, when you think about you're going to do that, it makes you happy. And you have to learn how to get out of your own way, because sometimes we're our own worst enemy. We don't know that we are self-sabotaging ourselves with self-limiting beliefs because we get an idea, or we know that something needs to be done or something needs to be corrected, but we talk ourselves out of it because we get in our own way. You have to stop blocking your dreams and realize that you're here for a purpose, and you're here to share those gifts. And we all want to see you succeed. I want to see you succeed. So this is why habit number 2, you have to learn how to identify the barriers and strategically make your way around those barriers. Because let's face it, we all are going to have obstacles that we have to face. We all are going to have obstacles that we have to maneuver around, figure out how to get around them, how to get over them, like they say, build a bridge and get over it. You're going to have to figure that out. And you have to, master the, like I said, self-limiting beliefs. You have to master how to get around that, move past that. You have to learn how to boost your self-confidence. You know, I see a lot of ladies come to me and they tell me, oh, I don't like speaking in front of people. I get nervous. You know, I don't want to do that. It's just not something I want to do. That is why they have Toastmasters. That is why they have organizations where you can practice that. You know, gather your friends, your relatives, put them in a room and just talk in front, you know, just do a presentation to them. Talk to them about something until you feel comfortable getting up and doing that. Because to move up the ladder, to be successful, to put yourself out there, you're going to have to put yourself out there. You're going to have to let people know who you are. You have to project a positive self-image. You have to be able to overcome those barriers, those things that you feel you can't do. That's the very thing that you need to tackle, because those are the things that will help you to be successful. Habit number 3, you have a personal brand and a professional image, and you have to live up to both of those. You know what the old adage that dress for success, well, you know, that is very true. And what you'll notice a lot of time is that most successful men, they tend to walk around in tailored suits, but you don't see a lot of women doing. Women tend to they don't tend to realize that looking professional, being professional, always dressing professional, that these are things that are your personal brand. So you have to remember to keep yourself, you know, never get sometimes you don't get a second chance to make a first impression. And so when you walk into a room, and if you're walking into that room with flip-flops on and this is something business-like, or you're supposed to be going in to talk to someone about something, an idea that you have, but you presented yourself and you walk in there in a casual dress, well, they may not take you serious. So a bad first impression can torpedo your career. Keep that in mind. Good judgment relating to your dress, how you dress, is a must. And keep, you know, just remember that dress for success, you hear that, some people ignore it, but it is very much alive. And for your professional image, that includes verbal and communication skills. So if you're not, you know, that good with your verbal skills or your communication skills, how about your writing skills? If those writing skills are not that great, then you may have to take some classes. You may have to do something to improve that. But all of that, professional image, personal brand, all of that if you need to work on that, then definitely do it, because that is all a part when you start looking at upper level management, executive positions. You need to look and act the part. And also don't forget positive attitude, enthusiasm. No one likes anyone with a bad attitude. I've sat on panels and promotion boards where a person will comment, oh yeah, did you see the person that came in for an interview? Oh yeah, well, you don't want her because she has a bad attitude. I've heard people say that on a promotion board. So keep in mind, these are things, you know, people look at all of that. Your dress, your attitude, your enthusiasm. So make sure that you are projecting the image that you want people to see about you, the image that you want to foster. And also, as you climb, and you know, they say dress for the position that you want. So if you're looking to be in an upper level management position, executive position, then that's the way you want to look. That's the image that you want to portray. Get the right mentor or coach. As I told you, when I started out, I didn't have a mentor, I didn't have a coach, and look what happened to me. One of the reasons that I got laid off from the company that I was with for 8 years. So having a mentor, having a coach, asking for help is not a bad thing. And these people are there, coaches, mentors, they're there to answer those tough questions for you about your career path, what you need to do to get from point A to point B. The relationship could help you land a good job. Because, as I said, these are individuals that normally know what's going on in the organization. They're the ones that keep their ear to the ground and can tell you, hey, after working with you for a while and being around you, I think that this position that's coming up over here in this department, I believe that you can handle it because, your leadership skills have improved. Why don't you apply for that position? And you may not have even heard of the position and didn't even know that it was, it was even posted. But that mentor, that coach, they're there to guide you, support you. Now, they're not going to look for a job for you, but they can recommend, and they are there, as I said, to give you that guidance that you need. As a matter of fact, they are important as a catalyst to your success. So make sure that if you don't have a mentor, you don't have a coach, this is something that you definitely want to have as you progress and move up the career ladder. And if you're not moving up the career ladder, that could be one of the reasons why you're not moving. Network and use it effectively. Ladies, I know that some of you feel that networking is just, it's not something that you really, really need to do. You do it occasionally. You do it, if you go to if the company happens to send you to a conference, then you'll talk to someone and get their card. But then when you get back to the office, you don't even know who that person is. You don't know why you even have the card. You have to find women who will support you in your career goals. Like-minded women, organizations that are advocate the same things that personal development and career advancement, things that you're trying to do in your career. These are places and events that you want to attend. This is where you will find women, like-minded women that are doing the things that you want to do, women that can maybe give you a heads up in their organization that there's a position coming available and something you might be interested in. And you could do the same thing for them. Network with progressive women everywhere. Not just in your own backyard, but women from different cultures, different backgrounds. Because I tell you what, you never know until you meet someone. I was at a conference and I met this lady from Japan. And I tell you, it was very interesting just talking to her and finding out some of the things that she did in her organization. And I was there at the conference because I was speaking. So I had her to stand up, and I asked the people in the audience, in my audience, I said, how many of you have met this lady? How many of you even knew that she was from Japan? And I think maybe only about 2 people raised their hands. I mean, can you imagine what type of source this can be that they were missing out on? So you have to reach out. Don't just, come out of your comfort zone and reach out to progressive women everywhere. Foster personal and professional connections that will support your success, because this is how you move. This is how you find out about successful things. This is how you get your career on the right path. You also have to have the persona of a successful executive. You have to show yourself as being, project yourself as being a successful executive, someone who's on the move, moving up in their career. You have to step into the spotlight. You can't always be in the background. As I said, if you don't like speaking in front of people, one of the things that executives do, they have to represent their organization. They have to sometimes give interviews. They have to sometimes, they may have to give an interview for a television spot or newspaper article. You never know. But they always have to go out and represent their organizations at a conference or something where they may have to speak. So these are things that you need to get comfortable with. Don't be afraid of failure, because one of the things that comes with failure is that you're supposed to learn a lesson that's supposed to help you to grow so that the next time you don't make that same mistake. and follow other successful women. As I said, you want to be around progressive women, like-minded women. So women that are doing the things that you want to do, those are the ones that you want to connect with. Those are the ones that you want to be, get advice from. Those are the ones that, hey, just call them sometimes and ask them if they want to go out to lunch. Because you never know, they are probably just as lonesome sometimes as you are, because sometimes in that executive suite you don't have a whole lot of friends. So when you can call someone up and say, hey, can I take you out to lunch? I'd like to talk to you just to find out, what you do in your organization, how things are going, and sometimes that might cheer them up, but it also open a way for you to have found a new connection. So don't be afraid to, if you're on the elevator, sometimes people get on the elevator with an executive and they're afraid to say, oh, hi, by the way, my name is so-and-so, I work in this department. You can do that. There's nothing wrong with that. And that person will remember you, because the next time they see you in the hallway, then they'll speak to you. Even if it's just a head nod, they now know who you are. So don't be afraid to step out. Don't linger in the background. You need to put yourself out there in the foreground so that people know who you are, and you have to take charge. Take charge. As women, you must be goal-oriented. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in your cause. You have to believe that, yes, I know that I can reach that upper level. A lot of people now are retiring because they're leaving these positions, especially in the federal government. People are retiring, and you're sitting there trying to get promoted. If you just need to take the initiative sometimes and go up to that management and say, hey, so-and-so is retiring. Why don't you put me in that position as an acting, maybe for 30 days, and let me show you what I can do. You'd be surprised how surprised they will be to know that you are willing to step up to the plate like that. Don't you know that they may, in fact, give you that chance to do that because you've had the courage, the initiative, and the goal to do something like that? So most people won't tell you no. They may give you that chance to prove yourself. 30 days, that's not a whole lot for them. They're not going to lose anything, and they may even gain something in the bargain. So you have to put yourself out there. You have to believe in yourself. You have to stay focused. And in order to do that, you have to stay up on your area of expertise. Make sure that you're an expert in your area, that you're the go-to person. So when they need information on something, they have to come to you, because they know that if I go to her, she can answer that question. Or if I put her in charge of that project, she's going to get it done. She's going to make sure that that project is in and done on time. This is the type of person that you want to be. This is the persona of a successful executive. To answer the question that I asked you in the beginning, what is the number one reason that most people don't progress in their careers? They work harder and harder, longer hours, and they still don't achieve their dreams. Well, the answer to that is they do not set goals for themselves. That will be the one way that you will lose out on advancing in your career. You have to set goals, you have to have a plan, and you have to take action. That is what will get you up that career ladder. And I'm going to leave you with one of my favorite quotes, and that is, to be successful, you need to embrace change, learn to work with others, and make good choices. Ladies, now is your time, because you were meant to succeed. I'm Dr. Madeline Ann Lewis, President and CEO of the Executive Women's Success Institute, and I'd like you to go to my website and download my free report on the new rules for executive women's success. My website is www.exwsi.com. That's www.exwsi.com. exwsi.com, or you can email me at info@exwsi.com. Thank you, and it was such a pleasure to be here today.